everybody. Hey, Brandon and Brittany. Christy. I see some people joining. Oh, good. I'm seeing some hearts.
Oh, hopefully it'll stay. Dwayne, hi. Oh, McKenna Hart. Good to see you. Bryson, I'm in my room. Oily Mom, you're back again. I'm so excited to see you again. Thanks, everybody, for joining Periscope tonight. I am absolutely loving speaking into your lives. I am totally loving hearing from you, seeing all these comments. Keep the questions coming. Comment how many kids you have. Tell Gabe I said hi. Sweet little baby, tiny baby Gabe. That's so precious. You know, it's a great time for you to learn how to really parent well, finish strong. Probably your last baby, Christy, and it's a great time to just finish strong. He's going to be an awesome kid. I love that kid. I love kids. I'm Trina Titus Lozano, and I am really happy to be here, hoping to be your mentor. I am a counselor, and I love talking about marriage and family. I have 4 grown children, and 3 are married, and I have 9 grandkids. 9 grandkids, all under the age of 8. So I have experience parenting and then grandparenting and 13 kids, and it's a lot of fun around here. I've been talking to you about the ABCs, the absolute basic criteria of raising great kids. I want you to raise kids that have a very, very, very great chance at life. And I want them to be strong emotionally, have this high EQ. That is an emotional intelligence. And the high EQ is going to be established right now as you guys really learn to nurture your children, to love your children, to train them, and to parent them. I love all of these comments. Y'all just keep commenting. I'm going to try to answer some questions today. If you put up questions, if I see them. If I don't get to your question, I will watch it on the replay, and then I will answer that tomorrow. I will be on at noon and 9. I'll be babysitting my grandkids tomorrow, so the noon broadcast should be pretty interesting. That'll be fun. But it's gonna be a blast. Just getting to know you guys better, periscoping with you twice a day until I get through the ABCs of parenting. The ABCs, the absolute basic criteria, in my opinion, of what you need to raise really great kids. A is for authority. You have to establish your authority. B is for believe. I talked about that earlier today at noon. Teach them to have a strong faith, and you believe that they're going to turn out okay, and there's a pretty good chance that they will. So stay positive. And C is for conscience. So tonight I'm going to be talking about developing your child's conscience. It seems like, especially in the early parenting years, a lot of parents are very they develop what we call the prohibitive conscience. Let me explain the two. Prohibitive conscience is the part of your conscience that is developed through punishment and reward. Oh, hi. Thanks for saying hi, Amanda. Going back to what I was talking about. Prohibitive conscience based on punishment and reward. And so if all of your parenting is developing that prohibitive side of your conscience, it's missing the development of the assertive conscience. The assertive conscience is the part of your conscience that decides and determines right and wrong based on a love of virtue, or choosing right just because it's right. Thanks, Brandon. That's my son saying Trina for president. Yeah. Hey, if I could just be president and CEO of my household, I would be doing pretty good. And I tried to keep that in mind as I was parenting all my kids. My kids are watching right now, so if you guys want to just sort of add something and tell something about your childhood, or put a comment that either, I don't know, say anything you want. Hey, you've got all the power. Y'all are there ready to comment, whatever you want to do. But anyway, so CEO, you don't want kid CEO. Not in your household. That's not going to work. So keep that authority. You want to really have that strong belief system, and C, establishing the conscience, both your prohibitive and assertive conscience. The way that you do this is you give your child an instruction. It could be any instruction. And then you're wanting them to complete that instruction. Either they're going to or they're not going to. Well, when you say something like, if you pick up your toys, mommy's going to be so proud of you, and I'm going to give you a lollipop. Okay? There's the reward. Or I need you to pick up your toys, and if you don't, you're getting a spanking. Okay? There's a punishment. That develops their prohibitive conscience. And unfortunately, if their prohibitive conscience is overdeveloped, it's not going to serve them well. It will let them down at times in their life, because there's times in our life that we don't get a reward, and we don't always get a reward for doing what's right, and we don't necessarily always get a punishment for doing what's wrong. Sometimes people don't notice. I can drive 30 miles an hour in Colleyville all the way till I get to my office, and there's nobody there that's going to pat me on the back, say, good job, you drove 30 miles an hour all the way here. Here's your lollipop. I don't really get a reward for doing that. Nobody even noticed. Nobody mentioned that I did a great job driving 30 miles an hour to work today. But sometimes if I drive 45, I might get a ticket in Colleyville. Or sometimes I might not. Sometimes I can drive 45 and nobody notices and I don't get a ticket. And then actually there's a benefit because I got to work faster. So it doesn't always work right with the punishment and reward. In fact, I talked about how on Fridays I did this a few years ago. I haven't recently. But on Fridays I used to teach every other Friday at the Fort Worth Detention Center. And I noticed that these kids have a very underdeveloped assertive conscience. I say kids, they were from 12 to, 17, 18, somewhere a little bit older even. But they had an underdeveloped conscience. They didn't even know right from wrong. They didn't understand right from wrong. All they knew is sometimes they get in big trouble because they're locked up right now. So they just sit there and they figure out a way that they won't get caught next time. Okay, that's not right. That's not working for them. Or they feel like it was worth it. Yeah, I got caught, but who cares? It was worth it. I mean, at least it worked. At least I got away with it temporarily. So it doesn't always work. This is the thing. As you're developing their conscience, remember with an assertive conscience, to develop a love of virtue, especially with younger kids, you want to say things like, if you pick up your toys, or no, wait, let me go back. I want you to pick up your toys because it's the right thing to do. It's so important that we take good care of our toys. We want to take good care of our toys. Come on, let's everybody pick up the toys because it's the right thing to do. So you establish the fact it's the right thing to do. We need to finish your dinner. Why do we have to finish our dinner? I don't want to finish my dinner. You know what? Because it's the right thing to do. Come on, let's finish your dinner. It's the right thing to do. I fixed dinner. It's healthy. It's good for you. It's the right thing to do. So let's fix your dinner. Bryson, use what you have, principal. Oh my gosh, you kids are like cracking me up. My kids are distracting me, but they are such a blessing to be supportive. Anyway, it's so important that we develop this assertive conscience. We want to always do that. If they are complaining about anything, if it's being buckling up in their seatbelt, why do I have to buckle up in my seatbelt? Because it's the right thing to do. Come on, get buckled up. It's the right thing to do. We're obeying the law today. And just keep that in your language. Keep that in your language so that you're developing that assertive conscience. There's the prohibitive conscience that you're developing when you say, if you finish your dinner, then I will let you have dessert. Okay, great. That develops their prohibitive conscience. But also add, if you finish your dinner, mommy's going to be so proud of you because it's the right thing to do. In other words, it's out of the love of virtue. So I hope you guys get that. Conscience, prohibitive, assertive, develop both in your kids. Develop both in your kids. C is for conscience. Okay, you guys got that? So little review over yesterday and today. A is for authority. So you establish that you're the authority in your home and they can respect your authority and that they can honor your authority and that you have their best interest in mind and it's a benefit to them for them to obey you. So keep it positive. Say no when you have to. Say yes as much as you can. It's great to say yes as much as possible. You want to say yes to your kids often. In fact, teach your kids to say yes. Oftentimes their first word is no, but it's really great to make sure that they also learn how to even say yes. And so say yes to things. Sometimes I would even sort of reverse their question so that I could make it a yes. Like, Mom, can I go outside and play? Well, you know what? Yes, you can, but you're going to go outside at 2 o'clock, right after we get your room picked up. Okay, that was a positive spin on it, a way to say yes instead of no, but actually it was sort of a no because they couldn't exactly go outside right now. We needed them to pick up their room first, but we kept it positive. We kept it upbeat. We kept it fun while kept the atmosphere of fun and of peace and love in our home while we're telling our kids what to do. So be creative, try to keep it fun, but make sure that you've established your authority. That was A. B, watch the replay if you need to. B was for believe, and today we did that talking about faith. I believe in miracles. I walk in miracles. I live with miracles. My kids have experienced miracles. We've experienced miracles in our marriage. We've experienced miracles in our family. We've experienced miracles in our finances and in our business and with our health in every way, shape, and form. So you know what? I've raised my kids to understand and to believe in miracles. And you know what? They do. So B is for believe. Never quit believing, even when you're going through hard times. So when your kids get frustrated, pray with them. Tell them about God. Tell them to trust. Tell them to believe. Explain how important their faith is. That was B. B is for believe. C is for conscience. There's the review. Develop their prohibitive conscience. They need to obey. And sometimes they get a reward. Sometimes they get a punishment. And sometimes you obey just because it's the right thing to do. Now, I'm going to stop here for a minute and see if you guys have a question. If there's a question, I'll take it and I'll answer it. And I want to make one more point before I let y'all go to bed tonight. Okay, you've got some things to think about. Do you have any questions for me? Just one question. Put a comment in there real quick. A question either on one of those three topics. A, B, or C. Authority, belief, or conscience. I see lots of hearts. Help me. How can I help? How old are your kids? Do you have a question for me? I see more hearts. I'd like a question, but if y'all don't have one, I'll just make another point here real quick. Bottom line is we need to make sure that our kids are getting out, that they are understanding. Oh, your kids are 6 and 14. Awesome. Be firm. Great advice, Brandon. You got to be firm. Don't negotiate with your kids. They need to know that when you say it, you mean it. It is what it is. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, that's okay. Think about it for a while. You can send me questions. Remember, I'll be on twice a day until we get all the way to Z. Twice a day because there's so many great parenting tips, so much great advice. It's worked for me. It's worked with my kids. It's worked with my grandkids. So it's just so important. Definitely no power trips. When you're going to establish a home that is full of peace and love, there's no power trips. There's no power struggles. You know your authority if you are the primary caretaker, whether it is the dad or the mom, or if you guys are both together. I talked about one is the teacher, one is the assistant. There's no reason for a power struggle. When your kids are really trying to get a power struggle and they're arguing with you, don't argue back. You already have the power. So don't ever give the power to your 2-year-old or your 3-year-old or their 4-year-old. They're going to want to be the boss. They're going to feel like they're powerful, but they're not. They don't have the power, and it's just, yeah, they can't have it. It's just important that they obey you so that when they get older, they understand the importance of respecting authority, so that they'll respect their teachers, they'll respect their bosses, and they'll just respect people in general because you've taught them. You've taught them how to respect. You've taught them obedience training, and it's just, you want to obedience train your pets and your animals. You definitely need to obedience train your kids as well. Kids do need boundaries. They need boundaries, but I always say they need a lot of freedom within those boundaries. So set the boundaries out as far as they can. I like to be the kind of parent that was, I don't want to say permissive, but I said yes a whole lot because I wanted the boundaries to be very, very far. And sometimes, it's true. It's not just a fence. It's actually like a guardrail. you know, when they stay within those boundaries, it's going to help them. It's going to keep them safe and keep them from emotionally and disconnecting from everything when they just go on this downhill spiral. Let me make a point here. 3 core needs that we all have as humans is love, significance, and security. So as you are developing your kids, you just have to really consider the fact that you want to use your words to always promote love, significance, and security. They are valuable. They have value. They have purpose. And that's not about if they're being good or bad. They can have a bad day of throwing lots of tantrums. But before they go to bed at night or when you're sitting reading them a story, make sure that they know they are loved. They have purpose. They are valuable. Because when they feel loved, significant, and secure, and when your home has an atmosphere of love and peace, they're going to be a lot more likely to obey you because you're not frustrated, you're not angry, you never enter into a power struggle. There's no reason to struggle. You already have the power. You're the parent. In fact, you have the responsibility, which is what I like to think of instead of power, because it's not about the power. It's just about the responsibility to raise your kids and to train them right, so that they can grow up to being responsible, well-liked, well-established adults. So important. Hey, good to see you guys. More people joining. I love all the hearts. Thanks for the good advice. I hope you like it. I hope it helps with your kids. I hope it helps in your parenting. I just want to be a mentor to you. I want to be able to offer great advice over Periscope, you know, for as long as you want. As long as I've got followers, I'll keep showing up. But I'm going to show up twice a day for a while, at noon and 9. Again, my name is Trina Titus Lozano, and I'm a counselor, and I just love helping people. I love talking about marriage and family. I've raised 4 kids and 13 grandkids, and I just want to come alongside you guys and really support you in your parenting. My grandma is 92 years old, and she lives with me here, and she's going to be giving more parenting advice. She's going to help out on the show sometimes. What do I think about grounding kids in timeout? Really good question. And you should know, my son is the one that asked that question. So Bryson, you should put in your comment about what I think about it. I actually grounded my kids very rarely. I think Brandon remembers a time when he actually got grounded. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to take care of the punishment immediately. Now, this sort of takes me into D is for discipline. I was going to talk about tomorrow. I guess I could go ahead and start it right now. I'll talk about D is for discipline. D is for discipline. Don't think of that as necessarily as like corporal punishment. D is for discipline, meaning discipleship, training, teaching. Keep that in mind. Every day you're parenting, you're training your kids, you're discipling them. You're literally working to train them. That is the most important thing you can do. I didn't do grounding very often. I don't highly recommend it, because I always think that the punishment needs to be right away and immediate. And then when it's over, as soon as the child has obeyed and as soon as they have adjusted their attitude and we have settled whatever needed to be settled, it's over. And so I like to move on from it. We're all happy. We start playing again. We move on with dinner time, or we move on with whatever life is. But grounding, it just extends that period. It's as if I got offended because my child disobeyed me, and so then I sort of really make them pay. You know, I do want them to be punished and to be disciplined when it's necessary, but I would rather it be over with quicker. So I tended to not do much grounding, but whatever works for you, it's your life, it's your choice, however you choose to offer a punishment. But like today, I said, I don't want you to just focus on that. I also want you to focus on positive reinforcement, try to stay positive, and, keep it upbeat. If your kid gets frustrated and angry, that's fine. That's part of life. That's part of being a kid. But as an adult, you shouldn't be getting that way. You should be able to manage your emotions so that if your kids are having a bad day, it doesn't necessarily send you out of whack. Like, you should expect it. Kids are kids. They're going to make messes. They're going to have fits. They're going to be frustrated. That's immaturity. But as a mature adult, a parent, you outgrow that. You have self-control, exactly like Brandon says. You have self-control. So as you have self-control, that's a result of maturity. And so that's what you're training your children to eventually have, is their own self-control. So first of all, you model that, and we'll be talking about that as well in the ABCs, just being an example and modeling. But all that to say, grounding, not so much. Timeout, I always did it a short timeout. So I would do a timeout, but not just leave them in there for a huge extended period of time, because I'm training them. So I could do a timeout and say, go to your room now. I'll be in there in 5 minutes to check on you. And so it would give me a timeout, which sometimes I needed to catch my breath, settle down, and I would go in there and I would say, okay, let's talk about what I told you, and let's talk about what happened, and let's talk about what you need to do next time. And if I needed to give a punishment then and there, I would, depending on the child. It's always different. But if I wanted to be a timeout, I would say, okay, you're going to stay in here for 15 minutes, but you better have your attitude changed or it'll be longer. And so I would keep checking back, keep checking back, keep checking back, keep checking back. Why do you think of giving back privileges earlier when grounding? You know what? I always like to, instead of spoiling your kids all the time, it's a great idea to not spoil them, and so that you have an opportunity to give to them and they can earn things. I much prefer that as being a method of reward rather than discipline. Like, today is a great opportunity for you to help mommy. And then when you help me, it's going to be perfect timing, because right before lunch, you'll get to play that video game and you'll be able to earn that. You can earn that back. And it gets them super, super, super excited about earning something. So they can earn their toys. They can earn their screen time. They can earn their video games. Speaking of video games, be really, really, really careful about those. I limited my boys to sports-only games because I just couldn't trust them. Just all the violence, all the language, all the sexuality, all of that. So I told my boys who are more into video games, you know what? Stick with the sports games. And that's sort of how I monitor that. But yeah, they need to earn it. They need to earn it if that's what you need to do. Great question. Great question. I hope that answered a little bit. You guys are doing a great job. Don't forget to be diligent. It's a job. It's your responsibility. So people, get up in the morning, pretend like you're going to a job, get dressed, get ready to go, get up and be ready before your kids get up. So you're ready. Meal prep. So your meals are ready. Have your act together as parents so that you can train your kids. And don't forget, the most important thing is to have a home atmosphere of love and peace. Okay? Don't forget that. That's always supposed to be on the forefront of your mind. Love and peace, love and peace, love and peace. So if you tucked your kids in bed tonight and they're still not asleep, or they're giving you a hard time, you know what? It's okay. Just tuck them back in again. And again, and again. And if you need to take a breather so that you don't get too tired and start getting on edge, you can take a breather and then tuck them back in again. Rock them, read to them, tuck them in, walk away. Walk them, do whatever you got to do, but don't give up. But keep the atmosphere of love and peace, but don't let them get away with it either. When it's bedtime, it's bedtime, it's bedtime. So you stay in control. You stay the boss. I don't like the word boss. I like the word authority better, because it just means that you're taking full responsibility. And that's what I want you to do. It's your responsibility to train your kids. It's not an easy job, but it can be so much fun. And it's really the biggest privilege you could ever have, is having children and raising them. It is such a privilege. Just ask somebody who hasn't been able to have any kids, and they would tell you, you're so blessed to have kids. So blessed. So God bless you, and keep doing a great job parenting. Parent smart. And I'm Trina Titus Lozano. It's been awesome mentoring you tonight and hopefully giving you some good advice and some counsel. And I would love to continue to do that. Keep following me on Periscope. I'll see you tomorrow at noon and 9. We will E for emotional intimacy, F for fruits of the spirit, G for great, H for honor, I for independence. A lot of stuff to talk about, and I'll be back. See you tomorrow. Bye. I can't get this thing to turn off. I'm going to get the hang of this. Swipe down to stop.